went by your house, what a big mistake. But for a while I thought that I wouldn't break. I need something else to clear my head, someone to tell me how to live instead. Just open your eyes and take my advice. Stop rolling the dice and just compromise. It's the chance of your life. Okay, try to be brave. You have so much to save. Take control of your own life. Right now, every mistake makes you feel like a fake. Take control of your own life. Without any thought, I keep moving on. I don't even care if my soul is gone. So many words that I should have said, not concerned about how to live instead. Just open your eyes and take my advice. Stop rolling the dice and just compromise. It's the chance of your life. Okay, try to be brave. You have so much to save. Take control of your own life. Right now, every mistake makes you feel like a fake. Take control of your own life. Nothing in life is good. Tied in with
Welcome to Cyber Threat Intel, your go-to source for the latest updates, news, and insights on cyber threats. Our goal is to arm you with the knowledge to protect yourself in the digital age, whether you're a cybersecurity professional or just curious about the threats lurking in the digital shadows. Make sure to subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast listening platform to join us on the front lines of cybersecurity, because in the world of cyber threats, knowledge is power. Welcome, everybody. This is episode number 9 of Cyber Threat Intel. This is April 1st, 2024, and I'm your host, John Good. Hope you're doing well. Happy Monday to everybody. If you are wrapping up your day, hope your day went well. Maybe you're just starting out with Tuesday, depending on what time zone and everything that you're in. But either way to kick off the week, way to start things off right. And thank you for joining as well. If you're watching this live, if you're watching the replay, welcome to the show and thanks for tuning in. A little bit of housekeeping things. If you're joining live and you're getting ready for the show, make sure to go grab a snack, grab a drink, something like that, and get ready, because we will do a few little introduction things as far as the show notes, and then we'll hop into the live stream. But typically, if you were just joining as well for the first time, what we do is we take a few minutes, just let people hop on here, get ready for the stream, get settled in, and then we go ahead and kick things off. So what else here? What about how to find the show? So depending on where you're finding the show, if you are listening to the audio format, because we are available on all the podcasting platforms, so Spotify, iTunes, all that kind of stuff. If you want to watch the video or the live stream version, you can go to YouTube. That is where we definitely are always going to be at. We've also been trying out streaming to other platforms. So LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook are what we're streaming on right now. And that's what we've been trying out. We've had a lot of success, a lot of people joining those. So it is likely that that is going to continue, because our goal is to try to reach as many people as possible. But as you know, if we don't get a lot of support on those other platforms, or the algorithm starts crushing us, then we obviously won't continue to do that. But we'll always be available on YouTube, so definitely do that. And you can find it on the John Good Cyber YouTube channel, the John Good Cyber LinkedIn page, which is my profile. You can find it on the John Good Cyber Twitter account or X account, and the John Good Cyber page on Facebook. So if you want to listen to the audio podcasting format, maybe you're watching the video format or the live stream, you can go to cyberthreatintel.com. That's where you can find all the popular podcasting platforms that we're on, or you can just go search for us. Again, the show is called Cyber Threat Intel, so it should be pretty easy to find, but that's kind of an easy way to get there. Also, another reason why you want to go to the website is because on cyberthreatintel.com, you can find the article feed. So the articles that we're going to talk about, as well as other articles that we don't talk about. If you want to look at the articles from previous episodes, all of that stuff is going to be on there, so you can find the full articles and actually read through it and read a little bit more into the article, maybe something that we didn't cover in that article. So that's really important as well. If you have professional certifications, so you are CISSP holder, Security Plus holder, whatever the case is, right? You can get a half a CPE for every episode. So you can just fill out the requirements for your particular certification and get that half CPE. That is always recommended. Do not leave that value on the table, because those can get really hard to get at the end of the year when you're doing this every day, and you can just get half a CPE each time and knock it out just by doing that alone, right? So that's a lot of value. That's free value, and free is always great, right? So definitely take care of that. And let's see what else here. Also, if you haven't seen the merch, and I'm showing a picture of a mug on the camera here, we do have Cyber Threat Intel merch. So we have mugs, we have shirts. This is another shirt, if you can see it on the video, kind of holding it up. But a lot of cool merch, cool designs. So definitely check that out. If you're on YouTube, you can just check it. It'll be right below the video. You'll be able to look through that as well. So really, really nice. With that being said, we are going to go ahead and take a minute to talk about our sponsors. And then after the sponsors, we will go ahead and kick off the show, the episodes with the articles. Are you tired of overpaying for cybersecurity training? Are you interested in training from industry professionals? Are you looking for cybersecurity career services? If you answered yes to any of those questions, then cybertrainingpro.com is the perfect platform for you. At Cyber Training Pro, we're a one-stop shop for all your cybersecurity needs. We can train you for industry certifications or just improve your overall knowledge and skills in a certain area. Unlike other platforms, we don't stop there. We can also coach you throughout your career, practice your interview skills, or create a high-performing resume with our career services. Cybertrainingpro.com isn't just another training platform. Students get exclusive access to our private community where we go beyond training courses to provide additional content, tips and tricks, and engagement with both other students and staff. Look, by the year 2025, there could be as many as 3.5 million job openings in cybersecurity. With so much opportunity, why not maximize your career potential with a platform that cares about your success? Come join us at cybertrainingpro.com and start building your future today. All right, special thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to Cyber Training Pro. If you're looking for training, career services, coaching, resume feedback, anything like that, right? The key stuff, then definitely check out cybertrainingpro.com. That's where I put all of my courses and do all my training and everything too. So that is a really great resource to take advantage of. If you're a company and you're interested in sponsoring content, we're always looking for sponsors, then check out the description on the video or on the live stream. And there's more details about how you can kick that conversation off and how you can get into the into sponsoring content. So really helpful as well. So with that being said, let's go ahead and flip over to my screen here and we'll do the articles here. All right, first article here, Dino Das Rat or Dino Das Rat, however you want to pronounce it. Not gonna judge either way. Malware targets Linux servers in espionage campaign. Security researchers have observed Red Hat and Ubuntu systems being attacked by a Linux version of the Dino Das Rat, also known as Xdealer, that may have been operating since 2022. Also says cybersecurity company ESET has previously seen Dino Das Rat. That is a difficult name to say a bunch of times, right? Compromising Windows systems in an espionage campaign dubbed Operation Jacana that targeted government entities. So this particular rat is targeting government entities. In a report earlier this week, researchers at Kaspersky said that when executed, the Linux variant of Dino Das Rat created a hidden file in the directory where its binary resides, which acts as a mutex to provide multiple instances from running on the infected device. So it's basically trying to make sure it doesn't spin up a whole bunch of times, because if something spins up a whole bunch of times, then obviously that's going to raise alarms. That's going to cause people to be concerned about whatever this is, right? That's definitely not a unsophisticated kind of thing. That's kind of thinking ahead as far as malware is concerned. It says next, the malware sets persistence on the computer using System V or System D startup scripts. To complicate detection, the malware then executes once more while the parent process waits. So, like I said, I mean, this has some sophistication to it as far as how that kill chain starts and how it starts to execute things. And if you're not familiar with the whole kill chain, the cyber kill chain, definitely check that out, because as far as cybersecurity is concerned, that's something you're going to want to be familiar with on how to identify attacks, how to stop them, how attackers, go about these kinds of attacks, that whole process, right? So really important. And then it goes ahead and gives a screenshot of what this looks like. So what the actual payload here looks like. It says that the infected machine is tagged using infection hardware and system details, and then the report is sent to the C2 server, so the command and control server, to manage victim hosts. So let's think about that. Why would that be important, right? Well, as far as being an attacker and knowing the systems that you control, that can also help you later down the road in case you have to get back into that system, right? Maybe a bug got patched or whatever whatever happened, right? You have more information on that system. Typically with attacking and penetration testing and those kinds of things, the more information that you have, even though you might not use a lot of that information up front, the more information that you have, it just makes that attack much easier. That's why that reconnaissance phase for attackers is so important, because gathering a whole bunch of information or sharpening your axe, because that's kind of the similarity that it's typically compared with, is spending a whole bunch of time sharpening your axe, so it takes less time to actually cut down a tree. If that analogy kind of went over your head, don't worry about it. But if you're interested in pen testing or in hacking, you're probably going to hear that analogy at one point in your career. So let's keep going here. I don't want to distract you from this, but communication with the C2 server occurs via TCP or UDP, while the malware utilizes the tiny encryption algorithm, so T, in CBC mode, ensuring secure data exchange. So that's another thing that's important with attacks and attacker techniques, is that ideally they want their traffic to go through an encrypted channel, because when that data is encrypted, if you're not familiar with encryption and how that works, you can't decipher what that data says or what that traffic is doing. And so all your security measures, your firewalls, those kinds of things that are built to stop malicious traffic, all they see is an encrypted channel, right? So they don't know that that traffic is malicious. And that's where we start to get into issues, right? Because now all of a sudden you have this tunnel, essentially, kind of like if you had a prison and you had a tunnel underneath, right? Like that used to be a huge concern in a lot of older prisons and things like that. I guess even typically today too, but that's kind of the idea, right? It would be like you have a tunnel in the middle of your prison, and all of that data and information, or those prisoners can just escape through that, right? It's kind of a different analogy, but similar, right? DynoDAS Rat has capabilities designed to monitor, control, and exfiltrate data from compromised systems. Its main features include, and then it gives a whole bunch of features: monitoring and harvesting data, receiving commands for execution from the C2 server so that the attacker can tell it what to do, enumerate, start, stop, manage processes, offer the attackers a remote shell for direct command or file execution. That's always important. Proxy C2 communications through remote servers, so kind of obfuscating where that traffic is going, what kind of traffic is going, all that kind of stuff. And I can download new versions of the malware in case it needs updates, right? That's always key. Got to update your malware if you're an attacker. And it can uninstall itself and wipe all traces of it from of its previous activity from the system, so they can clear their tracks. That's an important step too if they want to do something on a system and then kind of go away, and then you don't actually know what they did, right? So you can't be tracked back as an attacker. All right, good article there. Let's go on to the next one here. And hey, Frankie's Gaming, how's it going today? Happy Monday. Next article here: hackers target macOS users with malicious ads spreading Stealer malware. Malicious ads and bogus websites are acting as a conduit to deliver two different Stealer malware, including Atomic Stealer targeting Apple macOS users. Did you think your Mac was secure? I hope not, because remember, Macs are vulnerable. The ongoing info stealer attacks targeting macOS users may have adopted different methods to compromise victims' Macs, but operate with the end goal of stealing sensitive data, Jamf Threat Lab said in a report published Friday. One such attack chain targets users searching for Arc browser on search engines like Google to serve bogus ads that redirect to lookalike sites. This one has rkey.net that serve the malware. So they're basically, creating very close domains so that it looks very legitimate if you just quickly glance, right? Interestingly, the malicious website, and this is a quote, cannot be accessed directly as it returns an error. Security researcher Jason Bradley, Ferdos Saljuki, and Maggie Zeinhelt said it can only be accessed through a generated sponsor link, presumably to evade detection. So if you're trying to directly access that and you're not clicking through a correct channel as far as what it expects, then it's not going to actually work. It's got to be a regenerated link, right? A sponsor link is what it says here. The disk image file downloaded from the counterfeit website arcsetup.dmg delivers Atomic Stealer, which is known to request users to enter their system passwords via a fake prompt and ultimately facilitate information theft. So we've seen this in all kinds of malicious software, right? If the pop-up or whatever it is looks legitimate, then users, especially the less tech-savvy users, are definitely going to enter in their password or do whatever it says, right? Even tech-savvy users will occasionally do these things because they are focusing or trying to do a whole bunch of different things at once, trying to move really fast, and they click the wrong thing. They enter their password when they think it's legitimate. And then all of a sudden that computer's infected, right? People are not immune to these attacks or to attacks in general, regardless of how technically savvy they are. And that's why you have to educate your users. You have to teach them what to be on the lookout for. And hopefully that education helps to instill that sense of security and that kind of constant focus as they are doing some of these things, or even, non-consciously, subconsciously doing these things where they're not focusing on it, but they kind of start to identify it really quickly, right? That it's a scam or something. It says the findings are yet another indication that Mac OS environments are increasingly under threat from stealer attackers, with some strains even boasting of sophisticated anti-virtualization techniques by activating a self-destructing kill switch to evade detection. So one of the things that you'll see, especially with less technically savvy users, is that there's this kind of misconception that Mac OS is not vulnerable to any kind of malware, right? And obviously that is not true because it's an operating system. It's, basically like Unix or Linux. So it's a little different than the Windows operating system. It's a little bit more locked down, right? Because it's Apple, but it's not immune, right? Like you aren't prevented from getting system level access as a normal user on your computer. It's just a little bit different how you get it or how it's been implemented. But, one of the things that we've seen a lot too with Linux or Unix or Mac OS is that as the adoption rate goes up for those operating systems, that's when it starts becoming a more valuable target or a more enticing target for attackers. That's why Windows is so enticing, besides the vulnerabilities that exist, right? But with these other operating systems, if there's not a large market share, then why would they go after them? If it's going to be harder, if it's going to have less payoff, it just doesn't make sense, right? And that's kind of the mindset of why you wouldn't go after something like Mac OS or even Linux or Unix, right? So always an interesting article when we see stuff about, about Mac OS or just any malware in general. I would say it's always interesting to look at the different techniques and how they are shifting what they're doing or the trends that we see with these different malware or exploits. And as far as cybersecurity, that's one thing that is really important to track because that's going to be an important kind of trend to just monitor throughout your career if you're trying to get into cybersecurity or if you're just in cybersecurity already, right? And Ghostman says, best cybersecurity stream. I appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Take a drink out of my merch mug here. Always good. I love this design. I actually designed this myself. What do you think? Try to put it close to the camera so you guys can see it. But I think it's pretty cool. All right. Next article here. Activision enabled two-factor authentication, so 2FA, to secure accounts recently stolen by malware. An InfoStealer malware campaign has collected millions of logins from users of various gaming websites, including players that use cheats, pay-to-cheat services. The details emerged after Discord user PainCore notified Zeebler, the developer of Phantom Overlay cheats for Call of Duty and Counter-Strike, about an InfoStealer database that he had found. The database for the stealer represents gaming-related accounts much more than anything else, Zeebler said, adding that it's the largest InfoStealer campaign targeting gamers or cheaters in history. And then he goes ahead and gives a table here. Activision, for example, is 561,183 accounts. BattleNet has over 3 million, so 3.6 million accounts. And it gives a whole bunch of other outlets here as well. The cheat developer also notes that the domain with the highest number of stolen accounts is Discord. Keep that in mind, right? Which stands at 14 million entries in the database. So if you don't know what Discord is, that's okay. But basically, Discord is an online chatting community. It is very heavily geared towards gaming or that kind of atmosphere, but a lot of different people use Discord, right? I have a Discord server for the John Good Cyber community. All kinds of different, people, companies, everything have Discord servers. And again, it's just basically the new age chat room, if you will, new age IRC, I guess, depending on your age. I don't want to age myself too much, but so it really lends itself towards that gaming community. And it's always a concern with any malware stealer, but especially with these gaming accounts. One of the things that we see from just a consumer standpoint, right, is that a lot of these consumers are spending money on these games, like within the games, right? We've seen that with apps on phones. We see that with these video games too. So first person shooters or whatever, you're trying to buy a new skin, you're trying to buy items, right? Like if you're playing Diablo 3 or something like that, there's all these different games where you can buy in-game items. And so that account, let's say, when you start out, it's worth, nothing, whatever. But then it's like you buy like $100 in skins or something for, your items. And then all of a sudden that account value goes up. So these accounts are pretty important to people, right? We don't want those if we were the company that was securing that or providing that game. So if we were Activision, BattleNet, Elite, whatever, right? Like any of these, you don't want those consumer accounts to get compromised. And so it's just it's cybersecurity, right? You're just protecting your customers. And it's no different than that, right? Even though it's a game, it's just different, right? It's a different medium of how you're providing that. Let's see here. What else does it say? Reportedly, Activision Blizzard is coordinating with cheat developers to limit the campaign's impact and provide security instructions to holders of compromised accounts. So they're trying to identify how to fix it and provide instructions basically to the users of what they need to do. And I think this is a key point here too, to ensure the protection of their account and make it more difficult for hackers to profit, because they can compromise these accounts, sell them off, whatever, sell off the items, those kinds of things. Profit, even when credentials are stolen, users are recommended to enable two-factor authentication. So it's very interesting in today's world where users are not required to enable two-factor authentication right out of the gate, right? I think that's a huge security concern. I mean, obviously, with two-factor authentication, that does introduce a hurdle, right? Because somebody's got to have a phone, somebody's got to have a two-factor application, an iPad or something where they can get that code. So that's another step than just needing a password, just needing an account. But it's one of those things where, accounts are getting hacked so frequently, computers are getting hacked so frequently, companies are getting hacked so frequently that it's like an absolute requirement that you have to just force people to do. So I would be interested to know, companies that force users right out of the gate to enable it, how does that impact your profit, right? Does it negatively impact it these days? Because, honestly, a ton of people have cell phones. Obviously, there's people that don't, but are those people that don't have the cell phones, are they doing, for instance, playing games or some of this technology, that requires a computer to actually log in and do stuff on it, right? It's always an interesting kind of trade-off, right? The security that you put in place versus the accessibility and ease of use for users or for your company, your employees, whatever, right? So it's always a trade-off. But I would be interested for sure in that kind of analysis, right? That trend difference. Let's see here. All right. Next one. And Alex says, is malware that targeted the companies or individual user accounts? So really, these could go after any of them. This DinoDAS rat, that's much more about Linux servers than it is, end users. But with Mac OS, that could be either, right? That is, end users, that is companies, whoever's running Mac OS. The malware with Activision, that's going to be consumers. So that would be end customers, because obviously in general, you're not going to be selling a game probably to another company, right? You're going to be selling it to just regular consumers, end users, people that are out in the world having their technology. Next one here, Volter banking malware for Android poses as McAfee security app. Security researchers found a new version of the Volter banking Trojan for Android that includes more advanced remote control capabilities and an improved evasion mechanism. A report from Fox IT, part of the NCC group, warns that a new, more evasive version of Volter spreads to victims through a hybrid attack that relies on smishing, SMS phishing, and phone calls that tricks the target into installing a version of the malware that masquerades as the McAfee security app. So it gives the new infection chain here. It says Volter's latest infection chain starts with the victim receiving an SMS message alerting of an unauthorized transaction and instructing to call a number provided for guidance. The call is answered by a fraudster who persuades the victim to open the link arriving with the second SMS, which directs to a site that offers a modified version of the McAfee security app. Inside the Trojanized McAfee security app is the Brunhilde malware dropper. And then it says, upon installation, the app decrypts and executes 3 Volter-related payloads, 2 APKs, and a DEX file that obtain access to the accessibility services, initialize the remote control systems, and establish a connection with the command and control server, so the C2 server. So I think one thing to point out here too, and I've said this with a lot of malware, and I'll continue to say it, right? So people kind of understand how this stuff works, is a lot of these scams or, malware installations, these malware pieces of malware, typically the initial infection vector is not the full malware, right? Like if they were trying to take over a system, they wouldn't just go all out right away and throw everything at it at once. Typically, it's an initial infection with something like a script or something like that that then reaches out to do something else. That's typically the way that it is. With this, it's starting out with SMS messages, then it's trying to get them to open a certain link that gets another SMS message, and then you get a modified app. That modified app then kind of kicks off this kill chain where it starts doing other things even beyond that, right? So installing Brunhilde and then doing these other decryptions with Volter. So that's kind of how these things work. Again, they're staged payloads, right? Or they're multi-stage payloads or multi-stage malware infections, right? Because it does something, then it does something else, and it does something else. And it's all part of this obfuscation process, right? If they did everything at once and they tried to do it all in one go, you would probably get alerted by that, right? Like you would see that all of these different things are trying to kick off at once, trying to reach out to these malicious sites or these random places. And you would probably see that, right? And that's why they kind of break it up, because they want it to be much smaller actions, even though there might be more frequent actions. But large actions tend to draw more attention than smaller actions that kind of get buried in the logs, right? That's really a big reason why that happens. And Alex says, I was specifically referring to the malware in the Activision article. That's a crazy amount of distribution for that malware, right? Yeah, I mean, with malware, it's one of those things where it varies by the channel or the way that you are trying to infect victims, who you're going after, those kinds of things. Because some things, especially with like cheats for games, you're going to get a lot of people that are interested in just clicking and kind of going through the different things or getting whatever it is, getting cheats. And so I think you have, a higher success rate for sure in that kind of environment. Whereas like companies aren't always going to get infected by the hundreds of thousands, right? Like it's how it is, right? But end users especially are way less sophisticated as far as their technology that they have and how secure that stuff is, the controls they have in place to stop issues. Usually people are like, well, I have a firewall or I have a router, I have antivirus software, I'm good, right? So it's a difference, right? You're not going to put $100,000 of security into your home lab, I guess, unless you're like crazy about it. But it's just the difference, right? This also says that new capabilities, the latest version of Vultr malware that researchers analyzed, keeps several key features from older iterations, such as screen recording, key logging, and remote access via Alpha VNC and ngrok, allowing attackers real-time monitoring and control. Compared to old variants, new Vultr has introduced a new range of features, including file management, including download, upload, deletion, installation of files on the device, use of accessibility services to perform clicks, scrolling, wiping gestures, blocking specific apps from executing on the device, displaying custom notifications in the status bar to mislead victims. That's an easy one, but definitely a quick way to win. Disable keyguard to bypass lock screen security and gain unrestricted access to the device. So a bunch of new features, bunch of useful features, right? Like if you're trying to be malicious and trick users, I mean, those are valuable things, right? For sure. Especially this custom notifications one, right? Like that is custom notifications. I can't even stress enough how easy it is if you can create a legitimate looking notification or website or anything like that as, you know, an attacker, like that will trick a lot of people. It's just how it is, right? Let's see here. And Ghostman has a question on here. And typically what we do for these episodes is we get through all the articles and go through all the show contents for cyber threat intel. And then if you have questions and we have enough people on the stream to do so, then we will typically do an after show. If we don't have a bunch of attendance or enough attendance rather to do the after show, or people don't have a lot of questions, things like that, then of course we don't do an after show. But you can always comment on the stream. And I recommend always, if you're going to do that, I recommend doing it on YouTube. But, and then you'll get an answer back that way, either way. So, yeah, definitely. Let's see, let's do the next article here. Let me take a drink here real quick first. All right. Next article here. DHS is expected to stop buying access to your phone movements. Department of Homeland Security is expected to stop buying access to data showing the movement of phones. Controversial practices that has allowed it to be warrantlessly tracking hundreds of millions of people for years. Since 2018, agencies within the department, including Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and the U.S. Secret Service, have been buying access to commercially available data that revealed the movement of patterns of devices, many inside the United States. Commercially available phone data can be bought and searched without judicial oversight. That's a little scary, right? The agency paused, and that's in quote, paused, practice after a 2023 DHS watchdog report, pending a recommendation that they drop better privacy controls and policies. However, the department instead appears to be winding down the use of the data. The data has been used to crack down on border tunnels and all unlawful crossings, identify human trafficking routes, find undocumented immigrants who didn't show up for immigration hearings, and in some cases used for criminal investigations by the Secret Service, as first reported at the Wall Street Journal in 2020. There's a quote here. It says the information that is available commercially would kind of knock your socks off, said former top CIA director or official Michael Morell on a podcast last year. If we collected it using traditional intelligence methods, it would be top secret sensitive and you wouldn't put it in a database, you'd keep it safe. So that's kind of interesting, right? That these government entities can go buy a whole bunch of data from these other companies and they don't need a warrant to do so, right? That's certainly kind of a workaround or a loophole to what is, what feels right, right? Because, if they don't do that, then they need a warrant. So it seems like a gray area that is probably not the best. That's just, yeah. The whole spying and monitoring data and those surveillance kind of questions, that's always going to be one of those areas where there's so much controversy around it because it's like, well, is that, permitted? But then also, not only the fact that they can get this data, right? But then again, how are they securing the data, right? Even that quote talks about that it would be in a top secret sensitive classification level and not stored in these publicly available, or however they're storing it, right? These databases where a lot of people probably have access to it. It seems bad, right? Especially if that gets breached, right? It's I kind of disappointing, right? I don't know how else to put it, right? Just a little bit disappointing. All right. Next article here. Urgent secret backdoor found in XZ library impacts major Linux distributions. This one's been a little bit of a hot topic lately. Red Hat on Friday, so this is Friday of last week, and released an urgent security alert warning that 2 versions of a popular data compression library called XZ previously LZMA utils, have been backdoored with malicious code designed to allow unauthorized remote access. Software supply chain compromise, tracked as CVE 2024-3094, has a CVSS score, get this, of 10.0, indicating maximum severity, because that is the max of the CVSS score. It impacts XZ utils versions 5.6.0, released February 24th, and 5.6.1, released March 9th. So 2 pretty recent versions. There's a quote here. It says, through a series of complex obfuscations, the libelzima build process extracts a pre-built object file from a disguised test file existing in the source code, which is then used to modify specific functions in the libelzma code, the IBM subsidiary said in an advisory. This results in a modified libelzma library that can be used by any software linked against the library. This library intercepting and modifying the data interaction with this library. There's another quote here. It says, the end goal of the malicious backdoor introduced by CVE 2024-3094 is to inject code into an open SSH server, so SSHD, that runs on the victim machine and allows specific remote attackers that own a specific private key to send arbitrary payloads through SSH, which will be executed before the authentication step, effectively hijacking the entire system, JFrog said. So keep that in mind, right? So obviously with like SSH and any kind of authentication system that you have in place, right? You have to authenticate first, and then you can do stuff, right? That's part of the AAA process, AAA model, authentication, authorization, accounting, or just, access in general to a system, to an area, right? But this is saying specifically that if this is executed, somebody who owns that specific private key, they don't even have to authenticate, right? They can execute these codes and not even see that authentication step. So that is, that's almost like just going through the back door, right? Like it's like a backdoor kind of thing. But it's a serious vulnerability for sure. Microsoft owned GitHub says it has since disabled the XZ utils repository maintained by the Tucani project due to a violation of GitHub's terms of service. There are currently no reports of active exploitation in the wild. Evidence shows that the packages are not only present in Fedora 41 and Fedora Rawhide and do not impact distros like Alpine Linux, Amazon Linux, Debian Stable, Gen 2 Linux, Linux Mint, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, so RHEL, SUSE Linux Enterprise, and Leap, and Ubuntu. So it's saying that it's only present in a few different versions according to the evidence, but you never know, right? Never know. So again, very, very serious vulnerability. If this applies to you, please make sure that you take care of this. Anything rated a 10 CVSS score is quite dangerous and should be taken, should be fixed quite rapidly. Alex says, a little bit disappointing, a little bit scary. Absolutely. I mean, And I'm guessing that is in relation to the article about the government data collection. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these articles are scary, right? It is, yeah, it's a scary world in the digital age right now. Next article, AT&T says data on 73 million customers leaked on the dark web. That's pretty scary too, right? AT&T on Saturday said the data of roughly 73 million current and former customers was exposed on the dark web, including social security numbers and other personal information. 73 million. Whoa. According to the telecommunications, and actually 73 million, that's like the facepalm emoji, right? According to the telecommunications communications giant, the data set appears to be from 2019 or earlier, impacting approximately 7.6 million current AT&T account holders and approximately 65.4 million former account holders. So under 10 million current members or current customers, almost over 65 million former members, right? So it's not even people that currently have accounts that are the large majority. It's people that were former account holders. That's like the worst part, right? Because you probably didn't get rid of data quick enough. Dallas, Texas-based AT&T used the Easter holiday weekend to quietly share the update on data that surfaced on the dark web roughly 2 weeks ago. There's a quote here. Currently, AT&T does not have evidence of unauthorized access to its systems, resulting in exfiltration of the data set, the statement said. The company is communicating proactively with those impacted and will be offering credit monitoring at our expense where applicable. Okay, so a few kind of facepalm situations here, right? So they don't have any evidence of unauthorized access to the systems that got the data exfiltrated, right? So was that an internal employee then? Was that a third party that had access? Who had access then, right? Where did that data come from? If it was not unauthorized access, like it says that they don't have evidence of, how did that data get out? That's the first question, right? Second facepalm kind of thing is this whole credit monitoring aspect of things, right? It's almost like companies are using that as kind of this scapegoat. Well, it's like, okay, well, we got breached. We're going to give you, $8 or $15 a month, whatever it is, credit monitoring, probably for like 2 years, right? Like, so many companies have got into this habit that as a consumer and, really as just anybody, right? Not even somebody that has a service like this or just a person in general that uses technology. It is so frustrating that companies are just using credit monitoring as kind of this, well, we're going to take care of it for you, right? Like we're not going to, we have no other methods to kind of rectify the situation for you, but we're going to give you credit monitoring. It's like, I'm so disappointed in so many of these companies that get breached, right? First, I'm disappointed in the security that they put in place, but then I'm also disappointed in how they kind of rectify the situation or attempt to, right? It's just, doesn't make me too happy as far, as a person giving the news. It doesn't make me that happy. It doesn't make me happy as a consumer. And there's a lot of issues out there, right? All right. With that being said, that is the last article for today. If you, depending on where you're listening to or watching this show, again, we're on YouTube. Right now we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, all on the John Good Cyber platforms. So John Good Cyber YouTube channel, LinkedIn page, which is my personal profile, the Twitter or X profile for John Good Cyber. Again, my profile, John Good Cyber Facebook page. You can find it all on there. The live stream, the replay. If you want to listen to audio podcasting format, you can go to any of your favorite podcasting platforms, Spotify, iTunes, a whole bunch of other ones. You can search for the Cyber Threat Intel Show, or you can go to cyberthreatintel.com. All of them are listed there as well. You can find a direct link, and that's also where you can find the article feed. So if you want to see all the articles that we covered in this episode, or you want to see other articles that are added that we did not cover, then you can check them out there as well. Also, if you want to see the articles from other episodes, you can find them on there also. So really valuable platform to find all that stuff. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for joining the stream today. And with that, we will also, sorry, looking at the articles here. So we're going to wrap it up, but I want to thank everybody for joining. Remember to get your Cyber Threat Intel merch. If you want to get that, you can go to the John Good Cyber YouTube page, and it'll be right below the video if you're watching the replay, or if you're watching the live stream, you can check it out there as well. And with that, we're going to go ahead and end the stream for today. Again, thanks for joining, and I will see you in the next one. Are you tired of overpaying for cybersecurity training? Are you interested in training from industry professionals? Are you looking for cybersecurity career services? If you answered yes to any of those questions, then cybertrainingpro.com is the perfect platform for you. At Cyber Training Pro, we're a one-stop shop for all your cybersecurity needs. We can train you for industry certifications or just improve your overall knowledge and skills in a certain area. Unlike other platforms, we don't stop there. We can also coach you throughout your career, practice your interview skills, or create a high-performing resume with our career services. CybertrainingPro.com isn't just another training platform. Students get exclusive access to our private community, where we go beyond training courses to provide additional content, tips and tricks, and engagement with both other students and staff. Look, by the year 2025, there could be as many as 3.5 million job openings in cybersecurity. With so much opportunity, why not maximize your career potential with a platform that cares about your success? Come join us at cybertrainingpro.com and start building your future today.